Yes, you are correct to woo as such, my friends. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guest stars in one of the most highly anticipated films of the year, maybe the decade, man, maybe even the last 4 decades. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker marks the conclusion of the seminal Skywalker saga that began way back in '77 with A New Hope. With just over a week to go until release, excitement is at an all-time high. Joining me here shortly to talk all about it, oh man, the great Kelly Marie Tran is here. How about that? You guys excited? I'm excited. They're hyped. I believe you are excited as well. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll bring her out in just a second. But first, I believe we have a trailer for the film, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
It's an instinct. A feeling. The Force brought us together. We're not alone. Good people will fight if we lead them.
People keep telling me they know me. No one does.
But I do.
Long have I waited. And now you're coming together. Is your undoing.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny. The Force will be with you.
Always.
I still get goosebumps. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Kelly Marie Tran right here. Let's go. Let's go. Man, and that trailer alone, I get choked up. I can't wait to see the finished product. You have seen it, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. I saw it last week with the rest of the cast.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, picture this. Let me set this for you, okay?
Closing my eyes. Describe it. Let's go.
It's Daisy, John, Naomi, myself, and behind us is JJ, Carrie, Oscar, and Jonas.
Real quick, who's the loudest candy opener in that group?
John Boyega.
Got it,
no
of course.
doubt,
Just
no
ruffling
doubt.
plastic.
Full,
Yeah.
came in with like a full bag of chips. He was like, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, as you were. So there you are. You're all sitting
Yeah,
there.
so we're all sitting there, and JJ sort of like gives a little speech. It was very cool. And then we watched the whole movie together, and we're all like holding each other's hands and just like crying. And I mean, I definitely cried, and yeah, it's really beautiful, I think.
Well, what a beautiful experience. I'm so excited to have a similar experience myself. Not speech with JJ or John Boyega's chips, but crying with my friends, enjoying the film, of course. I want to talk to you all about it. We'll get to it in a second. In general, Kelly, how are you? How's life? How are you doing? How is this crazy ride that you're on right now?
I'm doing really well. I just took a little nap. Right in there.
We got real plush couches back
Yeah,
there.
they're great couches.
Perfect. That's what we want
They're
to hear.
great.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling very energized and very excited to be here. I'm very excited about the movie coming out. I feel very grounded in myself. I think when I did episode 8, it was my first movie, and I had come from fully working a day job and being a struggling actor and auditioning all the time and not really getting much. And then I was very much in the public sphere in a way I didn't know how to understand.
Yeah, there's no amount of training or preparation for any of that.
Right, exactly.
Just everything that you went through. Just if you isolate the idea of being in a Star Wars movie, that's your first film. That alone is going to be out of this world experience.
Yeah.
And then everything that happened. We'll talk about the comparison of these two processes and how it's been different coming into this second film. But here we are, so close to the release. Can you? Is there a feeling? Can you tell? Oh, it's almost here. The fans are going to see it. Like the energy for us, it's like we're ready. Can you tell that like we're all ready? Does it feel like that?
I think so. I think everyone here has some good energy, so I'm very excited. I love your shirt. Aww. I love you guys.
Aw.
This is so special.
There's a great vibe in the room
There's
right
a
now.
great vibe in this room. Lots of cool different couches here. It's a cool
Yes.
situation.
Comfy enough, but not so comfy as to induce a nap in this particular room.
But it's a very like mid-century modern vibe. It's very cool.
We're cultivating there. One of the biggest movies, if not arguably the biggest movie of the decade. You're everywhere. So this was really cool. They're going to bring up for me in a second. I pulled this because you got, and I thought this was amazing. We'll take a look here. But a specific, boom, you got a character poster. Yeah. Hold for applause for the character poster.
Whoa.
Isn't that amazing? That was amazing.
It's
right?
so wild.
How cool, what an experience. And I look at something like this and I think of like, you got this, the action figures, the whole thing. And I'm curious if there is a single moment where they showed you a thing, maybe it was this poster, or maybe it was just seeing yourself on screen in this universe. If there's a singular moment that stands out as like truly the most surreal part of the entire process.
Yikes.
Yeah, no pressure.
I know, there were so many surreal moments.
Give me a couple.
Is the thing. Okay, I'll give you a few. So my first day on set for episode 8, I walk on the set and it's Oscar and John and Anthony Daniels, like full C-3PO costume. And I'm just like, I was like, oh, I'm in Star Wars.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, and it's wild because I had been keeping that secret for 4 months and training for that movie, but still hadn't seen, like sets hadn't been there, and that was a really surreal moment. There were a lot of other moments. I would say anytime I have done now sort of doing events and things and meeting other actors who have seen Star Wars and have liked it. And I'm like, whoa, you know who I am? That's weird. Oh, I know a really surreal one. Meeting, this is so embarrassing, but I'm obsessed with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I met him and he knew who I was and I could not speak to him. And I think he thinks I'm really weird. That was really surreal.
I was about to say, what's embarrassing about loving Lin-Manuel Miranda?
No, there's nothing. It's the fact that like he was like, and he like was like, you know, trying to like be a normal human and start a conversation. And I was like,
Just weren't having it.
I wasn't. And then I just kind of stood there.
Yeah.
So that was surreal and awkward.
Where does that come from? Is that in the Heights? Is that a Hamilton? Is
I love
everything?
In the Heights. I love Hamilton.
Yeah, well, of course, everything he
Yeah.
does is pretty much golden.
He's pretty much gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So you got to see him and you choked. That was it. You
I
blew it.
choked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I choked.
Well, he watches this show, and I think if he sees this moment, he knows.
Oh, no.
No, he knows enough to reach out and
no.
let you know. He seems like the kind of guy that'd be considerate enough. Like, it's fine. He doesn't
I'm
think
not
you're
that weird.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Great.
You talk about how the training that you did going into this. I think I read somewhere that you had to learn like how to hold a gun, even like because you look pretty awesome on that poster. Just like you look very comfortable in the moment. You are Rose. You've got it. You know what you're doing. What was some of that? They brought it back. Thanks, guys. What was yeah? Look at how cool you look. You know what you're doing. What was some of that training like? What was the weirdest, most unexpected part of the training that you went through?
Weirdest, most unexpected. What I thought was really cool was we sort of all trained. There was one training room, and they went all out this year. There were a lot of like Star Wars things in this training room, and so all of the cast was training there. So everyone else, you know, all of their stuff. So there were like lightsabers in there. There were bows and arrows in there. I thought the coolest part was just being. I remember one day I was like, just teach me what you're teaching everyone else.
Yeah.
Things that I don't need to know.
When am I ever going to have this opportunity again?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me learn as much Star Wars stuff as I can. Teach me it all, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was pretty surreal. Just being in that environment and just like training that was just weird. Yeah.
I'd seen somewhere, I don't know if this is true now because I read it on Wikipedia, so keep me honest, but when you had first gotten the gig, you had kind of seen some connective tissue between Rose's story and actually like your family's story and how their experience with the Vietnam War. And so you had done some research into your own personal history. And I'm curious what that process looked like and if you learned anything about yourself and about your family through doing that.
Yes, absolutely. So Rose is a character who sort of lost her parents to war and her sister, obviously, and was forced to leave her home system. And that, to me, it was weird when I first read the audition, I read the sides, I remember thinking like, oh, this weirdly feels like my life in a way. I know I don't live in space, but yet.
Who knows?
Maybe, yeah.
I know. You can go to space.
Who do we talk to? Is there someone here? Are you and I? Are we doing this thing? Are we doing the space thing?
But if I had to trust a crew, it'd be this one. They could get us.
Yeah. So I definitely delved into what it was like for my parents to leave their home country completely not out of their own choice, just purely for safety reasons. So there were a lot of parallels I think I drew and still draw from that experience.
Fascinating, and you find ways to fold that in and sort of inform some of the decisions that you make when you're figuring out how Rose handles stuff and whatnot.
Absolutely.
I'm fascinated by that, like the way that you could fold in that real world element, and that's such a personal part as well, and bring it to the character. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, I know obviously highly anticipated film. A lot of secrecy. You've seen it. You can't tell us anything about it. But let's do the thing where you can tell me what you can tell me about it. Where is Rose at this point in the movie? We come across. We're a couple years in the future, right? Since the last.
Yes, I believe we're 1 year from the last one. Okay. So Rose in episode 8 was very much, someone who was new to the resistance and was really enamored with the idea of these incredible heroes sort of fighting for their cause, and then she became part of it. And in this film, it very much starts, and she's been promoted within the resistance, and she is very much in the day-to-day operations of running that thing. So that's all I'm gonna say.
That's it. That's fine.
Yeah.
You did the thing. Thank you for doing that.
Thing. You're welcome.
Now, here's a follow-up that I have for you. Is that challenge, when you have a time jump like that, and you've got time things that have happened off camera, things that we don't see as an audience, how do you as a performer connect those dots, fill in those blanks? What do you do to advance a character so that when we come across it reads that, oh, a lot has happened since I've seen this person?
Yeah, I think it's different for every actor. I can say for me, there was a lot of filling in the gaps myself. I mean, I think obviously a lot of times actors will kind of like create their own histories for things that happen. And that's very much what I did, because obviously these characters would have interacted within the year that you're not seeing them. So yeah, a lot of secret little stories in my head there.
Do you ever come up with those secret stories and then you'll do another project for them, like an audio book or something like that, and you'll be like, oh, I was way off.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Give you like the in-canon story.
Yes.
Like, oh no.
Yes.
I wasn't even close.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do? Do you plan it,
absolutely.
or is that just interesting? Like,
I think it's just interesting. I mean, because I don't really know what is being made about Rose. So sometimes I'll have texts from friends and be like, yo, you're in this comic book. And I'll be like, oh, I didn't know that. And it's kind of wild because there are all of these intersecting stories, and Star Wars has become, comic books and cartoons and novels and all of these different things. What I think is amazing is that Pablo Hidalgo can keep track of everything. He's incredible, just like being able to truly have everything sort of match on the same timelines and make sense in times in the sense of like time and space. Yeah. Wild.
So wild. I had last week amazing author Tomi Adeyemi, who wrote the Children of Blood and Bone series, this amazing fantasy series, infused with her personal, her heritage and her Nigerian culture. And so it's an amazing series, and it was really cool talking to her. And we talked a lot about the significance of representation and of seeing yourself in the things that you like to consume. You are a trailblazer for a lot of different landmarks in this series. The first, person of color in a main role in a Star Wars film. I think you were the first Asian female on the cover of Vanity Fair. Did I get that right? Yeah. See, first of all, I want applause for that. That's huge. That's huge. As you're doing these things, thank you. You guys are awesome. As you're doing these things, and you are this person, are you? How aware of that are you? That you are the person that people are seeing and can now identify with, and people see themselves in you. Do you? Is that a lot of weight, a lot of responsibility? How do you grapple with that?
Man, I wish I didn't have weight on my shoulders.
Did I just do? I'm sorry if I.
No, that's not you. That's not you. I think that's a reflection of society, truly, and the world that we live in, right? It's not. I always say that I wish that we didn't have to talk about this, that we were so equally represented across socioeconomic class, gender, religion, race, everything. Like I wish that abilities. I wish that we were so equally represented that we didn't have to always talk about it. But the fact of the matter is, you're right. We're not there yet, and it is something that I think about and that I definitely want to do justice for, if that makes sense, because. If anything, I hope it conveys the truth that no matter who you are and what you look like and where you're from and what you believe, like you deserve to take up space and exist in spheres that maybe historically you didn't feel like you belonged in. Yeah.
Would you say you were as aware of that before the trolls descended and you were in the midst of that?
I love the way you said that.
Oh,
the trolls.
The trolls descended and they ruin fun things as they so often do on the internet. But like they also highlight these societal problems of like, wow, this is a lot louder of a voice than I thought it was. Like, you know, when you were first casted, before any of that nonsense hit and you had to deal with all of that, were you as aware or did that make you more aware of that conversation that needed to happen?
I was aware pretty immediately, purely because of the reaction that we got from announcing the casting. And also, I'm on an improv team of all Asian American women, so we talk about these issues all the time. Like, we know how rare it is to sort of have that. But in terms of the trolls descending, yes, I think it's funny because I realized that it was a big moment in culture. Yeah. But for me, it's not something that I use to define my identity by, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think there's a tendency for when someone experiences something like that to like feel like they're defined by that. But I think I realized through that whole experience, I'm like, oh no, I get to decide which narrative I am playing in my mind. I get to decide who I am, you know, like, and I think that's really important to realize that regardless of who you are and what you're in and what you're associated with, being able to be honest and vulnerable and sort of take care of yourself mentally is a very, like, wildly important thing, which is something I didn't understand until I got into this, if that makes sense.
Well, it's one of the things I always talk about is like, how do you practice self-care? Because there's so much you can get caught up with in this industry, and especially with the experience that you're going through, that how do you remain present and take care of yourself and take care of mentally as well as physically? Yeah.
Therapy's great. Highly recommend.
There we go.
Just cross my legs and get comfortable here.
Sure.
Yeah. I also think reminding yourself that you are not alone and it is okay. These are the biggest things. Anytime you are sort of confronted with a situation that increases your fear and your anxiety, if you allow that voice to be silent and if you allow yourself to sort of isolate yourself, I think it gets worse. So the best thing for me was just being honest and talking about it. I think when I wrote that op-ed, which is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, having it go out into the world made me feel so empowered, you know, because I was finally speaking my truth instead of just letting the other voices, be in the ether.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful piece too. I imagine there had to be some level of anxiety going into like the hitting submit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Are we doing this kind of thing? Okay, we're doing.
Yes.
And then does that anxiety, does it flip at a certain point, like, and become, you know what, empowerment? Like, you know, instead of anxiety, like, oh, I don't know if I should or I shouldn't, to I should, and I'm allowed to, and I want to. Like.
Yeah. Okay. I will say this: the first sentence of that op-ed took me 2 hours to write. I was so nervous. I was so scared, but it taught me one thing, and it's that no matter what I do, there's always going to be someone who says something bad about it. I can't control that. And I think the most powerful, empowering thing for me through that experience was realizing that sharing my truth and allowing other people to maybe feel like their experience has been seen in that way or validated. I know how to speak. Thanks. In that way was the most rewarding thing, you know? I think also I have such respect for artists who continue to make art within the sphere of knowing they're going to be seen, so seen and so criticized, and that's so brave, you know? And I feel so inspired by so many people in this industry, specifically women or women of color who have been working for decades. And I went to, this is such a random story, but I'm gonna tell you. So I have a friend who is a cast member on SNL, so I went to go see the show on Saturday, and J-Lo was there. Oh my gosh. And she's so incredible.
Did you get to see J-Lo?
I got to see her.
Did you choke like you did with Lin-Manuel, or were you all right?
Oh, I didn't speak to her.
Oh, of course not.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I watched from a very safe space. Yeah. Okay. But she was so incredible, and I remember thinking wow, she's been doing this for so long, and she's been fighting, and she's just been, completely vulnerable in her work. And that is so, every person who continues to do that for years and years and years, I'm I have so much respect for people like that. Yeah. Incredible.
Let me ask you a silly question, because you've had plenty of time now sort of removed from the world of social media. Do you ever, not miss it, but do you want to go back to Instagram? Do you think you'll ever go back to Instagram? Or are you kind of I'm good without it?
Yeah, I feel really good without it.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm am I missing out? Should I be doing this? But when I really think about it, and when I think about what's mentally healthy for me, I feel really good without it. I don't feel like I'm missing out on much. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a boring cisgender white male in his 30s that is not in a Star Wars movie. It's very easy for me to have social media. Nobody cares. And that's fine. But I don't really use it anymore. I used it a lot more a little while ago. I used to post it, but I don't. Yeah. Occasionally, I'll go and see what's up. I'll check trends and stuff like that, and just see what's going on and kind of lurk a little bit. Do you poke your head in, see what's going on once in a while and go, I'm good, and then just go back to living life?
Yeah, I will do that. I will read the news. I like to read the news. Yes. But I will say I do have a concern about this sort of hive mind where it's whatever's trending is what we're all talking about. So how do we legitimize news now? Does it have to be trending for us to read it? Or are we all going to be talking about the same things and no one's going to have an original thought because we're all looking at the same stuff? This is the stuff I think about.
I love this stuff. This is exactly why this show is as long as it is, so we could talk about that weird
let's talk about that spiral.
That's the stuff I like talking about. Yeah. We're going to go over to the audience in a little bit because I want to make sure we have time for all the questions that we have. But first of all, thank you for having that conversation with me and talking about that, because I know that wasn't an easy experience for you to go through all that. So to just kind of share what that was like and give us insight into it. It's really cool. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Thank you.
Of course, first of all. Second of all, I'm a huge Disney Parks fan. I love the Disney. I grew up going to them as a kid, and I saw you did a Q&A in Galaxy's Edge over in California. And last week, the ride to end all rides, Rise of Resistance, has opened. Have you gotten to ride that ride? Have you seen it? No? Have they sent you over there?
We were there.
You were there.
Okay, let me tell you how this went down.
Yeah, tell me about it.
We did a bunch of interviews overlooking Galaxy's Edge, and it was very loud because the Falcon was just constantly flying. So cool. I know, this is such a... And then we went into the Rise of the Resistance, and we got to see where the line will be. Yeah. Beautiful architecture. The details, incredible. Yeah. Incredible details. We got inside, and they had removed a car, for the ride. Yeah. So that we could sit in it and take a photo. Oh, no. So we took those photos. We did not get to go on the ride. Yeah.
Here, from what I've read, is they are working round the clock to get all this stuff to work. Because it's some of the craziest technology. There's actual lightsabers that show up and holograms and all sorts of stuff.
I can't wait to see it.
It's supposed to be nuts, man. Yeah. I'm trying not to watch any spoilers, so I just ride it and stuff. Yeah. Told you I'm a huge nerd for those things. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to the fans. It's a big part of the show, and I want to make sure we have time for all of them. The first one's coming to us from @Raylo Warrior. Good job, dear Kelly. I love you and Rose Tico. Tico? How do you guys say it? What do you say? Tico. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Oh, There was a hesitation. How do you?
Sorry, no, I was looking at this question. I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
okay,
I
let me
gotta
finish
start
reading it.
thinking
I'm sorry. I have the attention span of a hummingbird. Forgive me, Rayla Warrior. Dear Kelly, I love you and Rose Tico so much. My question is, what ice cream flavor are the characters' favorites? Ray, that's a lot of ice cream flavors you want her to mention, man. All right, Ray,
is so
Kylo,
many.
Finn, Poe, Rose, Chewie, and Jen. All right, give me all the ice cream
All right,
flavors.
I'm gonna go. Ray, Rocky Road, because she's got a rocky road, but she keeps going.
Love it. Well done. Keep going.
Kylo, charcoal ice cream, because it's black, and he likes to wear black. It's got to match the outfit.
You're 2 for 2.
Are we doing great?
No
How are we doing
disputes.
here?
I think you're
Doing
nailing
great?
it. Give me a third one,
Okay,
Finn.
Finn, Chunky Monkey. Oh, that sounds no, that's not. I meant because it's the funnest flavor.
It
I
is
feel
fun,
like Chunky
yes.
Monkey is the funnest flavor, and Finn is, to me, John Boyega has so much charisma, and he is the funniest. When he walks into a room, you know he's in the room.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like cracking up. Chunky Monkey's my favorite funny flavor.
Here we go. All right, very endearing.
Poe.
Poe.
Chocolate mousse.
Interesting. I'm not going to ask you to explain yourself. Keep going.
Great.
Rose.
He's like, we got to keep going. Rose. Ooh. My favorite flavor is vanilla with rainbow sprinkles.
Oh, fun. A classic.
Make that what you want to make of it.
Yeah.
Chewy. I don't know.
Tough one.
That's a tough one, right?
Like it'd be meat infused. I
Yeah.
went to a thing for my dog once. They had meat flavored ice cream for dogs.
That's wild. I was going to say, I think Chewy would be, one of those, like,
There we go.
one of those ice creams.
Dog specific, not dog flavored. Okay, just to be
No.
clear.
Yes.
Not a freak. I'm just a grown man that fed his dog meat flavored ice cream. I'm not weird. So
so
Chewy
funny.
wants that. Go on.
Anna. Let's go totally random here. One of those 50-50 bars. The orange, you know what I'm talking about? The ones you get in like elementary school. It's like
Yes.
vanilla on the inside,
And then, yes.
orange on the outside. I have no
Perfect.
reason. That was just the thing that came to my head.
Great question.
Yeah.
Great assortment
Great
of flavors.
question.
Loved it. Thank you so much, at Raylo Warrior. It was a wonderful question. Now, we've got at least 3 in the room. I'm going to get to all of them. Watch me do it. First one, microphone, go. Oh, is it you?
Oh, you have? Oh, fully. Hi.
I wrote it down because I was nervous. So when we first met Rose in The Last Jedi, she was mourning the loss of her sister from battle. I was curious how that has impacted Rose's decisions in The Rise of Skywalker as a military commander, and then furthermore, how Rose has discovered found family within the Resistance with Poe, Finn, Rey, Chewie.
Yeah. Very good question, first of all. I will say, I think that grief is not a linear process. I think that regardless of how far along you are in that process in terms of time, there are just days that are really bad. There are days that are really good. And I think that she definitely carries that with her as she's sort of helping to lead the resistance. It's very heavy, it's like something that, like, if Rose lost her sister and she's making decisions that could possibly lead to someone else losing their sister, that's like a big, heavy thing that she's dealing with. But in terms of the found family that she has, I think that there is a pretty incredible bond between herself and Finn and Poe and Rey and all these characters that have sort of been through this crazy experience together. I mean, the same way when you're in high school and you go through finals week, you're like, man, that was crazy. It's kind of like that, but like heightened, just a little heightened. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What's your name, by the way, real quick? What is that giant book in your lap?
So
That's ominous. You just go, it's time. What did I just invite? What's going on? Tell me about the book.
Okay. So basically, because you were coming to build, we decided to get a bunch of fans to contribute to a scrapbook for you. And it's, if you want to open it, it's got like about like
cry.
60 plus submissions
Oh my
in it.
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
And
that is so
And
sweet.
so these are letters and fan art and drawings and cosplay photos that people have
I'm like
dressed up.
fully gonna cry.
Oh my god.
And then after Blossom, she's an artist online, and she made this book called Where's Rose, because a lot of people were talking about Rose missing from some of the marketing. And so she kind of flipped it on its head and made like a fun little adventure where
Like this is where she's
Rose, like with Porgs and Claude, and she goes like to Cantobite, and they go shopping, and like
so
that's Stefana.
cute.
Goodness.
And yeah, we wanted to give it to you.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
Wow, come on up. Yeah, give her the book. That's amazing.
That is so nice.
Wow.
Are you guys? Where did you come from? Are you from New York? Yeah. You guys are
From New York.
Oh
my gosh, thank you so much.
This is my friend Maddie.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt.
Kelly, nice to meet you. Thanks so much
We
for
were up
coming.
until 3 a.m. because
you
we couldn't
serious?
unscrew one of the scrapbooks. I don't know how to scrapbook.
I'm like fully, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for coming.
You
It
really
means
mean
so
a lot
much
to
to
a
me.
lot of people, so thank you.
Round of applause for this outpouring of love.
We love you very much.
I said there was a good vibe in this room. Thank you so much for that. It's a beautiful vibe. Does that, I mean, wow, you look at something like that and I just wonder, do you ever cease to be surprised by the level of love, the outpouring of love that's come from this fandom? You were given a standing ovation at the Fan Fest over the summer and they were chanting your name. How does that feel when they hand you a book
so nice.
with all of these beautiful drawings in it?
Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so that moment at Celebration, this moment, these are things that I'm trying not to be emotional right now. They mean so much to me, and also it's totally unexpected. I remember the Celebration day. I remember crying and being like, no one can tell. And then Stephen Colbert asked me a question, and I was like, blah, and just gave him a weird answer. And I remember being like, I'm just gonna pretend this didn't happen, and no one saw it, but people saw it. Yeah, I'm just so grateful that you guys just love this thing that we made and that
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for bringing that in, and thank you to all the fans that contributed to the book as well. It looks amazing. They're all watching. Very cool. Well done, everybody. Well done. Well, guess what? You get the next question. I believe that's why you have the microphone, so go ahead.
Again.
It's time.
I know. I know. That was my Lin-Manuel Miranda moment.
Yes.
So my question was, one of the reasons I gravitated towards Rose is because I'm a little I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm a little dorky, and I don't think that I would be a Jedi or anything like that. I think that I would be the type to work behind pipes all day and freak out if I saw Finn. And so I was wondering, now that she's a commander, how has she grown while also holding on to the element that I think makes her so special?
First of all, I'm a little dorky too. Yeah, I think that that was something to me that was really important to make it feel like that part of her was sort of preserved. And after seeing the movie, I do think that there are moments. Yeah, it's hard because it's such a weird thing to be an actor and play a character that goes into different films, because I think of, just us as humans, I'm probably different with my parents than I am here or than I am, and so the ways in which we react to different people is so different. I will say that I do think there are moments that do preserve that sort of charm that she has. So, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, can we do one more? I want to do the last one. Number 3. There you are. Go for it.
Hi. I was wondering, now that the saga has been winding down, what sort of work or what sort of roles you're looking to do going forward?
Good question. Yeah, I am not opposed to any genre or anything specifically. All I know is that I want to work with people that make me want to be better. I want to work with actors that make me almost feel like a bad actor so that I'm continually growing, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm going back to acting class as soon as this press tour is over. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm a constant student, which is very Rose, isn't it? Just I want to be learning all the time, and I want to keep getting better and keep doing different things. So I'm very excited. Yeah.
Very excited to see what you do next.
Thank you so much.
You got to come back. Whatever it is, come tell us all
I
about
would love
it.
to hang out.
Oh, my God. And we'll get another book for you. We'll work on it. Yeah. We'll make that a tradition.
They're like,
Thank
we
you.
didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, no, we did.
Like,
One book. We're good.
Okay, come on.
We
We're
got
up till
other
3.
books to make. We got to make other books now. We can't make Kelly all the books. Thank you, everybody, for being a great audience, hanging out with us, bringing the books, doing everything. Thanks for those tuning in at home. And thank you to you for being here. December 20th. Well, who am I kidding? You already have your tickets. But if you don't, December 20th, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. It is happening. Go cry with me in a theater. Let's go watch it, everybody. One more time. Do that thing you just did. Make a bunch of noise. That's Kelly Marie Tran right there.
Thank you so much.